then this worsens their situation. So we will be studying about all this, right, when we are talking about the lingering challenges. Secondly, along with the problem of rural credit, the rural people also face the problem of rural marketing. That means how to market their produce, how to market their goods, right? Because earlier there were intermediaries, we all are aware of it, right? And what intermediaries used to do, that means intermediaries used to sell their produce into the market, and they used to keep a major chunk or major part of the income, right? And then the rural people were given a very meager amount. A meager amount was given to the rural people. Okay, so that was the another problem, where to sell their produce so that they get the maximum price. The producers actually get the maximum price. So we will again here we'll refer to agriculture, rural marketing, sorry. That is what are the areas how these rural people can market their goods so that they can increase. They are not earning anything, so how to carry on their living during this time? So all those other options which are available to the people in rural areas other than farming or maybe related to farming, right? So those all options will be studied here under the topic of sustainable livelihood. Okay, and the last we have with us is the last part of the chapter will focus on organic farming. Now, organic farming, we all know, is a new concept of farming, right? It is different from the traditional farming. So, what is organic farming? How can farmers, by undertaking organic farming, can earn income? Right. So, what is organic farming? What are its benefits? Right. What challenges is organic farming facing today? Because it's not very popular, right? Not very popular, I'm saying. It is over the years it is gaining popularity, but not as popular as the other crops, traditional crops are. Okay, so this is all we have in this chapter. So meaning of rural development, right? And then after that we have the lingering challenges. Lingering challenges will focus on two areas. One is the rural credit and second is the rural marketing. Okay, and then third part of the chapter will focus on the emerging challenges. Emerging challenges will take into account the sustainable livelihood options and the organic farming. So now one thing along with this I would like to mention here is that along with these lingering and emerging challenges, there are other challenges also which these rural people face, like the problem of transportation, storage, right? Then problem of electricity, power generation. So irrigation facilities, they don't have proper irrigation facilities. There are other problems also, but these two areas, that is the lingering and the emerging challenges, are the core concepts of this chapter, right? So we will be focusing only on these. Besides that, please don't think that there is no other problem these people are not facing. They are facing, but these are the major ones which needs immediate attention. Okay, so now I'm just going ahead with the chapter. Okay, now rural development. Now, when I talk about rural development, yes, all of us have that that image of the rural areas where we don't have well constructed roads. Then the water facilities are not there. People take water from open sources, right? So there we say electricity is not there, although now most of the villages have electricity, but still the remote area, in the remote areas, the electricity facility is still not available to the people. Okay, so generally we get this idea, right? People live a very simple life in the rural areas. Now, when I say rural development, I use this term. See, in this term, there are certain points which are hidden. Okay, so please just keep on noting them down and keep on taking down the notes in your registers, because, as I said, that NCRT is the base book here, and any word, any line from NCRT can be picked up and can be converted into a question, right? So, rural development refers to continuous and comprehensive socio-economic process attempting to improve all aspects of life. So first of all, children, here you need to first give stress on the word continuous. That is, rural development is a continuous process. It's not that you make or you do some activity, take up some activity once, and then the development will be there, it will be followed by development. No, continuously you have to make changes, continuously you have to make investments, then only development will take place. Okay. And secondly, we say it, and it is a comprehensive socio-economic process. Now, what do we mean by socio-economic process? Yes, any guesses? Socio words, how do you relate socio word? It has come from the word society. Okay, so how do we relate it with socio? Okay, socio-economic process basically means that when we undertake rural development, when we take developments or make developments in rural areas, it helps to increase the social life of the people living in the rural areas, social status of the people. Okay, and along with social status or the social life, it helps to improve their economic condition. Economic condition means the money wise income they are earning. So when development will take place in rural areas, firstly the social life in the rural areas will improve. They will come in contact with various other let's say organizations, various other areas which we see generally in urban areas, right? If we set up more and more industries in rural areas, what will happen? Latest modes of transportation, communication will reach the rural areas, and when we have the latest modes of communication, these people will be exposed to them, and as a result, their life, the setup of the society will gradually change. They'll become more modernized, not in terms, as I said, in developing the technology. We have learned modernization as a goal. That is, their thinking will also broaden, right? So that is what we mean by socio setup, right? All those taboos they have in the society, most of them will be we say they'll fade away, right? Secondly is the economic process, economic quality, economic purpose, right? Now, economic purpose means that when more of the industries are set up there, or more opportunities to work are there in the rural areas, so people will be, besides agriculture, they will keep themselves occupied in those activities and thus can earn incomes throughout the year, right? So they will not be taking loans as frequent as they take right now, right? So that is our this thing. Rural development basically is a continuous process, right? And deals with and it is a socio-economic process. Now, when we take this process helps to improve all aspects of life, right? So all the areas will get improved if we undertake this process. Now, next is that the rural development focuses on action for the development of areas that are lagging behind. So, especially rural development focuses on those areas which are not working or which are not working efficiently, which are lagging behind, right? And thus, if we improve these areas, it will help in the overall development of the village economy, right? Now, that is why we say that it is truly said, right? It is truly said that most of the India lives in villages. And even today, this statement is true. Even um, so many years of independence, if you see, this statement is truly applicable in case of India, because majority of the people in India, they live in rural areas, we all know that. And moreover, these people do not, still most of these do not have access to the basic necessities of life, right? If I give you the figures here, the latest figures, 2019 figures, if I give you, it says that around 25.7% of our population is still living below the poverty line. Okay, in rural areas, 25.7% of the population is still below the poverty line. So because of this, 25.7%, if I attach this figure to the statement, that means we can come to know the seriousness of the problem. So today, as I said, that majority of the people are living here. So it is truly said by Mahatma Gandhi, the quote I am using, that the real progress of India is possible only when the rural areas and rural people are developed, right? So that the overall growth of India could be achieved. If you really want to achieve the overall growth of India, you need to develop the rural areas as well as the rural people. Now, to make this statement more clear, children, I would just like to relate this statement with you people. Now, since we know that in our economy, we have urban areas as well as the rural areas, right? We all agree with this. Now, if you really want to develop, if the overall development needs to be achieved, so in that case, you need to uh, let's say work upon the rural areas as well as you have to work upon the urban areas. Now, I just relate this statement with you. Okay, just listen to me and understand. Although I might have quoted this earlier when physically we were in a class, but still, because it can be very well explained through this particular example. Now, so you people have 5 subjects with you. Okay, just imagine that in 2 subjects, out of these 5, in any 2 subjects, you score 100 on 100, right? And in other, you score just 50 in each subject, right? So total comes out to be 350, right? And now if you calculate the average, right, total works out to be 350. And if you divide it by, I'm not saying best of 4, I'm just talking about the average. Now if you divide it by 4, so you get 70%. Fine. Now if you want to increase your score from 70% to at a higher benchmark, right? What is the option with you? What is the way out left with you? Yes, think about, if you want to improve your score from 70% maybe to 80%, 90%, 95%, right? So what is the now option with you, right? The situation in front of you is that in 2 subjects you have 100 and 100, and in the remaining subjects, 3 subjects, you have 50 out of 100. So now, yes, you guessed it right, you worked it nicely, that now the option left with you is that to work harder in those 3 remaining subjects which are lagging behind, in which you are lagging behind. Work harder in those subjects and then improve your score in those 3 subjects, because already in 2 you have full on full, there is no scope now, right? You cannot get more than 100 in any subject, right? So the only thing is now that the remaining 3 subjects you have to work harder. And when you work harder, right, So in that case, when you work harder, in that case your score in other subjects will also improve. Now when you will work harder in those three subjects where you were lagging behind, right, so your overall percentage will also increase. So this is how it works in the economy also. It's just not that if you develop the urban areas, overall development can be achieved. No. Along with those urban areas, you need to, along with those urban areas, I'm saying you need to work upon the rural areas. That is, rural development is required, right? So that was the idea behind the concept of rural development. Now, to achieve rural development, there are certain key areas, or there is a process which we need to follow, right? It's not that just simply you do one thing and you make one improvement in rural area and you say that yes, we have achieved development. No, there are so many areas where we need to work side by side so that the rural areas can also come at par with the urban areas. Now, first is that first we need the development of the productive resources. Now, productive resources basically means those resources which will help the people living in rural areas to earn income. Okay, people living in rural areas can earn income with their own resources. It's not that they need to go to cities and then acquire those resources. Whatever resources are available in the rural areas, these people can work with those resources and earn incomes, right? So first of all, there is a need to develop the local productive resources of rural communities, right? Whichever the let's say the resources are available within the community, so those resources should be developed. If let's say if one of the rural areas, right, it has one type of material, right, it is famous for producing that type of raw material, so they should work with that raw material and produce goods and services and then further sell it in the market, right? So like people here, like in Punjab, we say people do fulkari work. The fulkari we have handicraft, that work is famous Punjab for Punjab. So that means people in those villages should be given opportunities, more facilities should be given so that they take that up. They take that work only, and with that fulkari work, these people can earn or they should earn incomes. Okay, so that is the idea behind if I say that development of the productive resources, right? And in this case, if these people are provided with the opportunities, so they will be able to get employment within the villages, and thus poverty can be removed to some extent. The second point I'm talking about now, the area which we need to give stress is on the development of human resources. Yes, a very important area. Human resources basically means that human capital formation. We have studied this as a chapter, right? So that means people should be provided with literacy, education, sorry, and especially the female literacy should be encouraged. Health facilities should be given to the people in the rural areas. Along with the health facilities, skill development should be important, very important nowadays. Skill development, which our prime minister is also talking again and again, right? So all these areas which are covered under human capital formation, all these areas need to be given importance in the rural development. Okay, so education, health, skill development, if we give all these opportunities, if we provide knowledge or facilities to the rural people regarding these three areas, obviously people in rural areas will work harder, their way of working will change, and thus these people will be able to come at par with the urban areas, and the overall development of the country could be achieved. Third is the honest implementation of land reforms. Yes, we know that honest implementation of land reforms basically means that the land reforms that were initiated, this land ceiling was the one, right? We studied in the chapter economic reforms. So land ceiling was there, right? So all these measures that have been reforms that have been initiated by the government, they should be implemented honestly, because we studied that there are some corrupt officials who didn't allow the benefits of land reforms to reach the actual persons, right? So there should be honest implementation of land reforms, like elimination of exploitation in land reforms, right? That should not be there. Then we say land to the tiller should be given, right? And then increasing the agricultural production and productivity. The fourth area is the infrastructure development. Infrastructure is the lifeline of any economy, right? If we talk about infrastructure is the lifeline of any economy, right? And it is basically the one which gives support to other areas to provoke, let's say, infrastructure facilities are, we can say, they are the support services like transportation, banking, communication, electricity. So all these are health. We have a health of people, right? These all come under infrastructure. So infrastructure in rural areas should be developed, right? Like providing them with electricity, irrigation facilities, credit and marketing, transport facilities. So this is what all is needed in the rural areas, right? Proper construction of village road, the pakka roads, right? And then we say more agricultural research should be there in the rural areas, right? So these all areas needs our attention in order to achieve, or in order to achieve rural development. Fifth, I have is the special measures for poverty alleviation programs. Now, to eradicate poverty, some measures have been taken by the government, and some of them we studied were the wage employment measures, and some were self-employment policies, right? Which generated self-employment and some generated wage employment. So, as such, these poverty alleviation programs should be, right? These poverty alleviation programs should be initiated properly, right? These measures needs to be taken up seriously, I'm sorry, right? And then we have the last measure, that was the I talked about poverty alleviation programs. So this will improve the condition of workers and the people living in the rural areas. So the process of rural development involves development of the productive resources, secondly development of human resources, third honest implementation of land reforms, fourth infrastructure development, and fifth is the special measures for poverty alleviation programs. Okay, now children, since the screen is showing that only I think a minute is left for the meeting to get over, I would like all of you to better, children, please rejoin. I don't know what issues are there, right? I'll just sort them out. Okay, so I would request all of you to please rejoin it, because in that case, I'm just moving on with the next this thing, toxic essential, or I would say that is a basic thing which they need to carry on there. Always they are short of money, in fact. So to just get rid of that problem, they borrow money, right? It'll just take a minute for me, right? And then I'll continue. Even I know that you people must be facing problem, but please adjust with me, right? I appreciate your patience. Okay, should we wait for others? Okay, now side by side, I'll just continue. Okay, now, so as I was saying that uh, credit is the main thing which the people in the rural areas need, right? Now they need credit for various purposes, right? People living in rural areas need credit for various purposes, right? One of them is that the growth of rural economy depends primarily on infusion of capital. Infusion basically means the availability of capital, right? It depends primarily on the availability of capital from time to time and to realize higher productivity in agriculture and non-agriculture sector. So that is the one major reason why people living in rural areas needs credit, right? Time to time they are in need of credit because they want to increase their productivity in agriculture as well as besides agriculture when where they are working. So there they want this thing money. Now, in agriculture sector, farmers are in strong need for credit. A very important line you should know. In agriculture, farmers are in strong need for credit due to the long gestation period between crop sowing and realization of income. Now, this means that when we talk about agriculture, because that is the most dominant occupation in the rural areas, so in agriculture sector farmers need credit. Mostly farmers are the ones who take credit because of the long gestation period. Long gestation period means the waiting period, right? Waiting period between the crop sowing and the realization of income. This means that when they sow the crops and when they turn out to be in a good harvest, there is a good time period involved between these two stages: sowing of crops, sowing of the seeds, and the harvesting of the crop. Right. So between these two stages, there is a pretty good gap. Right. And during this gap, since they'll get income only when this harvest will be sold in the market. Right. If let's say grow some crops today, right, it'll take few months to turn it into a good harvest. So during these months, I'm not earning anything because I'm totally depending on agriculture, right? So during these months, to meet my family requirements, earn my, or to carry out my living, or to meet certain rituals, because we know people in rural areas are a bit superstitious also, right? So let's say to meet all these needs, I need money. Where will I get money? Because I don't have any source of income. When the crop will get converted into a good harvest, I'll sell that harvest in the market and then I'll get income. So during these months, when the crop is in the growing stage, farmers need money. And this is a long waiting period, right? So for these few months, like in January, the crop seeds were sown, right? And the crop got ready, I think in the month, let's talk that in the month of August. So during these months from January to August, farmer has no source of income, right? So from where will he meet his daily requirements or needs of his family? So during these months, then to fulfill all these things, farmers takes loans, credit, right? So this is the gestation period from January to August is called as the gestation period. For this gestation period, they need loans, okay, credit, right? So they borrow money from various sources, right? And to meet initial investments on seeds, fertilizers, expenses on marriage, right? So even they take credit to buy, make initial investments like to buy seeds, good fertilizers, and then further meeting other needs, they need credit. So these are the reasons why people in rural areas need credit, right? People in rural areas. So I am just summing up, people in rural areas, basically they are always short of money, right? People in rural areas, to get higher productivity, they need credit, firstly to make initial investments on what? That is seeds, fertilizers, right? Then secondly, they need credit because of the long gestation period between crop sowing and realization of income. So during this period, to meet their requirements, they need credit. And lastly, they need credit to meet their other family expenses. Family expenses of like marriage, death, right? Or if there are some religious ceremonies they have to perform. So to perform all these ceremonies, they need credit. Three purposes are there, right? Initial investment, long gestation period, and other family expenses, right, children? So thank you, children, for rejoining, and we meet again. Stay safe and